Just today we learned that his company, under his watch, put money in Bermuda to avoid paying Canadian taxes. All while Liberals force Canadians to pay higher taxes, Mark Carney dodges the bill himself. For example, how would he ever crack down on tax evasion, on offshore tax havens, when he's got his money wrapped up in those same havens? How would he ever crack down on the abuses by China of our steel industry, when his company owes $250 million to the Chinese government's state-owned banks? About the issue of temporary foreign workers, I think first and foremost we need to make sure Canadians get the jobs. Canadians first, always Canadians first. And that includes those seniors who choose to work. They should not be punished. They should get that $34,000 tax-free plus lower income tax above that, so that we can honor those seniors who have more to contribute. In rare circumstances where there are not enough Canadians to fill jobs, we should allow temporary foreign workers. I want to thank everyone here. First of all, Bernard Genereux, the local member of Parliament. It's great to be in Montagny today at Maison La Prise. This is for two very important reasons that we've chosen this location. Maison La Prise builds homes, which was one of my top priorities. We've got to build the homes in order to house our people. We have to put an end to the Liberal housing hell of the last decade. And there's only one way to do it. It's for the government to get out of the way and off the backs of the people behind me who build these homes. These fine folks are working every day to bring affordable homes. These are module pieces that snap together. They're kind of like Lego blocks, I think. No? Okay. They are? So they're like Lego blocks, so that we can actually assemble the houses much more affordably and make it possible to get people a roof over their head. I've already announced some of my plan to reverse Liberal housing hell. We're going to take the GST off new homes, axe the sales tax on homes of less than $1.3 million, saving people up to $65,000. An idea that I brought to the House of Commons, but sadly the Liberals unanimously voted against. This will stimulate the construction of an additional 36,000 new homes above and beyond what would normally be built, and it will save families $3,000 a year on their mortgages. The second reason why I'm here today is because Maison La Prise has many workers who are over 65 that bring lots of wisdom and insight to the younger workers. Quebec has always been a province where people roll up their sleeves and work hard. They protect their culture, their language, and their history, something we need to do more of across the country. Do the Liberals deserve a fourth term in power, or is it time to put Canada first for a change? With a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, and help our seniors have a beautiful retirement? I know the answer to that question, and I think Mr. Carney does too. That's why he was afraid to debate me at TVA. He can't debate in French because he's too weak or too fragile to defend the idea of a fourth Liberal term in power. If he's too weak to defend himself in a debate, how will he defend himself against Donald Trump? We need a strong leader who's capable of standing up to Trump and standing up for Canadians. Now, we also know that Mark Carney has been hiding his assets in foreign tax havens. Just today we learned that his company, under his watch, put money in Bermuda to avoid paying Canadian taxes. All while Liberals force Canadians to pay higher taxes, Mark Carney dodges the bill himself. He thinks millionaires like him shouldn't have to pay, even while single moms, seniors, and small businesses are forced to fork over ever more money to this out-of-control, greedy Liberal government. Mark Carney is out of touch. In his mind, taxes are for the little people, not the millionaires and billionaires like him. Carney needs to come clean about his offshore dealings and how much of his assets are still hidden in tax havens. You know, Canadians deserve to know what financial interests a Prime Minister has. Here's the problem with Mark Carney. He's outsourced jobs, he's offshored his taxes, he's the most conflicted and compromised Prime Minister in our country's history. I'm running for Prime Minister because I want to put Canada first. But you can't do that when all your interests are locked up in foreign interests? For example, how would he ever crack down on tax evasion, on offshore tax havens, when he's got his money wrapped up in those same havens? How would he ever crack down on the abuses by China of our steel industry, when his company owes $250 million to the Chinese government's state-owned banks? How would he ever protect Canada against the U.S. when he's already moved his company headquarters to Donald Trump's hometown and the jobs and money with it? The answer is he can't. Now, this distraction he has about blind trust, let's be blunt. Mr. Carney knows exactly what assets he owns. He put them in the trust knowing what they were, and he knows that his trustee cannot sell those assets. So whether or not it's technically in this Venetian blind trust, he knows what he owns. The only ones who are blind are Canadians. Canadians are the ones who are blocked from knowing the real financial interests of their Prime Minister. And that's why I reiterate my call for Mark Carney to come before Canadians, open up the books, tell Canadians what foreign conflicts of interest he has that go against the interests of Canada. After the lost Liberal decade, Canadian seniors can't afford a fourth Liberal term of making Canadians poor and Canada weaker. They need a new Conservative government that will lower taxes, support seniors, and put Canada first for a change. That's why, as Prime Minister, I will work hard for the people who work hard. And I will see to it the system rewards hard work by people of all ages. Right now, seniors get a basic personal exemption of about $15,000. On top of that, they get about a $9,000 age credit. But that's where it ends. That's not enough. And that's why today I'm announcing that a new Conservative government will put Canada first by allowing our seniors to earn up to $34,000 tax-free. Thank you. So I was asking the gentleman, who's a very informed journalist, whether he knows what Mark Carney's investments are. And he said, no, that's not his fault. That's Mr. Carney's fault. I just point out that it's incredible that even the journalists who follow this stuff very carefully do not know all the conflicts that Mr. Carney admits that he has. Now, he claims that somehow this money gets funneled through a Bermuda tax haven only to come back to Canada. Well, why wouldn't he just leave it in Canada in the first place? If it were going to be taxed in Canada, he wouldn't need to funnel it through Bermuda. I don't know, how many of you funnel your investments through Bermuda before you bring them back to pay taxes? I think the answer is zero. You know, and so Mr. Carney makes these workers who are struggling to pay their bills pay full taxes in Canada while he ships his investments off to Bermuda to dodge his obligations to this country. That's money that should be going in tax revenue to fund our schools and our hospitals, but instead it's going to pad the pockets of millionaires and billionaires like him. He thinks that taxes are just for the little people, not for big-shot bankers like him. This is exactly the wrong kind of experience we need in a Prime Minister, and the worst kinds of conflicts of interest he will use. He says, by the way, he says he knows how the world works. He thinks he knows better than all these hardworking people behind me. I can tell you they know a lot of things that he has no idea about. I'd like to see them. I'd like him to come in here for a day and try to do their jobs. He wouldn't make it through 1 hour. The way I will say it, and merci beaucoup. He says he knows how the world works. He knows how to make it work for him and against you. And that is exactly what he will do as Prime Minister. The answer to the other question was whether I have investments in tax havens. The answer is no. After President Trump began threatening our economy, I sold my investments in foreign economies, and now I invest in Canadian stocks and Canadian companies. I brought my money home to this country, and we will, in our platform, be cracking down on the types of tax havens that Mark Carney has used to cheat the system. We will ensure that the fancy big bankers pay their fair share. If waitresses and plumbers and mechanics have to pay taxes in Canada, then the big shot bankers should have to pay taxes here as well, and that is how it's going to work when I'm Prime Minister. In English, you ask a very good question about the issue of temporary foreign workers. I think first and foremost, we need to make sure Canadians get the jobs. Canadians first, always Canadians first. And that includes those seniors who choose to work. They should not be punished. They should get that $34,000 tax-free plus lower income tax above that so that we can honor those seniors who have more to contribute. In rare circumstances where there are not enough Canadians to fill jobs, we should allow temporary foreign workers. That is for farming and for small businesses in the tight labour markets of the regions of Canada. And we will work to end the chaos. After the lost Liberal decade, our immigration system is in total chaos. Fraud has overtaken the temporary foreign worker and the international student program. They allowed temporary foreign workers into places where there's already high unemployment of over 6%. This chaos is playing out in our housing market, our job market, and our healthcare system. And I will end that chaos. Allowing the Liberals to have a fourth term in power will only make it worse. We need a new Conservative government that will put Canada and Canadians first. That includes opposing the Liberal Century Initiative, which seeks to increase our population to 100 million people. This is an idea from Mark Wiseman. Mark Wiseman is now Mark Carney's advisor on Canada-U.S. relations. He insulted Quebecers. He said he was going to push his 100 million person plan even if, quote, Quebec howls. That is a disgusting insult. It's a slur against Quebecers. And he should be ashamed of himself. And Mark Carney, if he respected Quebecers at all, would fire Mark Wiseman and reject the Liberal Century Initiative. Conservatives will reject the Liberal Century Initiative. We will get back to common sense immigration that puts Canadians first. Thank you.